Hello, and welcome to the Project Stardust podcast. Again, I'm Jordan. I have,
My name's Terry, Christian Terry.
and we're gonna get into it about episode 3 of the Acolyte. Um, how are we feeling? Any first impressions you want to start off with, Terry?
Uh, it was interesting. It was a lot of background. It was very like what's the word? Ground centered, I guess. Like not too much, but at the same time, it was a lot of context. A lot of little like breadcrumbs here and there about like the girls and about the situation and everything. Overall, I thought that was an all right episode. I mean, I you know story wise, I liked how it added to the story. You know, um, but there were a lot more questions it left me with. It's a good thing though. It's not a bad thing. I'm not saying like, well, how did this happen? No, I mean like it's legit, really interesting questions I have that we'll probably get into in the end. But yeah, I liked it. How about yourself?
I liked it, like I mentioned from the previous episode that we filmed. The question for me was how is it going to fluidly flow from episode
Mm-hmm.
1, 2 to 3, as we talked about different director kind of taking on the role for episode 3. And I guess it worked flawlessly because they went back in time anyway. But I thought it was well. It's another well addition to the story of what we're trying to figure out. And again, we don't have all the pieces to really digest what we have, but we're kind of grasping at straws to figure out what's going on, until maybe the reveal later on. So I liked it. I would say I even enjoyed it more than episode 1 and 2. It felt like
Okay.
its own thing, and I felt like I was able to get a lot of backstory.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. And the whole time I was watching that episode, I was thinking about what you said in the last podcast that these episodes it does flow like a movie. Like I'm kind of like, well, I kind of want more. Like it feels like a movie. You're right. I was thinking about
Mhm.
that the whole time. I'm like, there this if we were to watch this all in one thing, which we probably could, it'd probably be like a really good movie. But yeah,
Mhm.
go for it.
As you told me, what's your rating of the episode um,
Uh,
for episode 3?
I'd give it a 8 out of 10. Yeah,
I'm with you.
because because like
8 out of 10.
we're seeing background story, but at the same time, it seems like we're really focusing on OSHA's side of everything. Like it starts off with her, it ends with her. Um, you know,
Oh, so you
so
still kind of feel like it's still one-sided.
there, I still think it's one sided. I still think it's one
Then how
sided
did you feel
because
about episode 1 and 2? Because I also feel like it's one-sided as well.
yeah, I mean, you could say that because while I was doing my rewatches of the show and everything, I noticed that the first two episodes have like the opposites. So I believe the first episode's titled um what is the first episode titled?
It's
I forgot.
Lost Found, and then
Yeah.
this what second one was called Revenge Justice.
Yeah, so I think Lost Found. So if you think about both of those titles, both of them start off. Each episode starts off with May. So May, in my opinion, is lost. So that's why she's like evil. Found is OSHA, and then the second episode, Revenge, and what was the other one? Revenge and
Justice.
slash Justice. So then you start off with May again, and she's getting her revenge, and then we see OSHA, and then she's getting her justice. So I really like this whole like yin and yang thing going on right now. Between them, and yeah.
So getting straight into it, we can talk about the episode. So we start off here in Brendok 16 years ago, as it is stated in the beginning of the episode. How did you feel walking into the atmosphere of the two kids playing around in the what they called the fortress, where they would kind of run away to, right? Before you get into it, I would like to mention, like you said, the yin and yang, the contrast between the two. Osha has that creature on her hand, and she states it can only kill you if you eat it. And then May, kind of how I saw it, deals an absolute where she was like trying to kill it immediately, which Osha stopped her from doing.
Yeah, it's very telling. Like the signs, I guess, have always been there. Um, like literally, just like what they're saying is always one, but born as two. So they're well, part of their saying was that always one, but born as two. So I just feel like I don't know. It. It really just it really gives me the son and the daughter, or the brother and the sister spirit vibes, like the twins, because they're such opposites. They're such strong opposites, really. Like what you said, how May deals with like the absolute, like it has to be this way, or if not, like I'm gonna kill you, kind of thing. And then Osha's just like, no, like it shouldn't be that way. Like I want to
Yeah,
do what I want to do, you know.
yeah.
So I think that beginning was very interesting as well, because even with the little creature, when they're using the force to like play with that little creature,
Mhm.
May kind of goes a little further with it, sadly. But yeah, kind of
Definitely.
telling.
Yeah. Um, Master Soul is peeking and seeing what they're doing, but the whole premise of what we're getting at in this episode is that there's an ascension ceremony in which
Mm.
the two become witches, right?
Hmm.
Mother Coral um, is just kind of upset with them running away all the time,
Hmm.
and we kind of get it confirmed that Osha and May have two mothers. How did you feel about that? Because I know there was a big controversy about it, going
Yeah,
into the show.
I didn't think that like weird about it, because, and I don't know. My thing is this: is that if you watch the Clone Wars, you've seen Dathomir. They're all women. So are people going to be mad that? No, I mean not just the planet Dathomir. Obviously, there's people like Maul, like hit like they're all there. But I'm saying though, like a witch coven is something we're not unused to. Like we're very used to it because we saw it in Clone Wars and everything. And the fact that they were able to manipulate magic, like they were kind of hinting at it, that they made May and Osha. That is what was very interesting to me. Like I don't know, that just that really interested me, and it kind of made sense why they feared the Jedi, because they're like, well, if they find out that they're made by magic, like what do you think they're gonna do? They're probably gonna kill them because they're an abomination of the Force. So that's what I felt, and I feel like we're probably gonna see that later. Hopefully, I kind of hope that was like hinted as like a foreshadowing. Hopefully, it's not just like, oh yeah, they're made by the witches and that's it. No, I'm kind of hoping there's more to that, but it didn't bother me that much. I just thought, oh, okay, that makes sense, because at the same time I was like, well, who's the father? Because I was like, is this another Anakin thing? Like the Force conceived them or something? So,
Yeah,
um, I'm kind of glad that they kind of gave background information, that it was like, oh no, like you basically, they say how you made them. Like, so I was like, oh, okay, so I'm assuming it was with magic.
yeah, and that's kind of what I got at too. I didn't feel like it was forced.
No.
It The way they described it, Mother Coral and Mama, they were saying, "Well, I carried her," and then Mama was
Hmm.
like, "Well, I created her." So it
Hmm.
didn't feel like there it was forced upon us. And again, they're two different creatures in the Star Wars space,
Hmm.
and I didn't feel like I was like left out of it. It felt normal, in my
Yeah.
opinion.
Yeah, it felt very normal. It was just really interesting to me. Like I said, like the whole witch thing and everything, and then like that to me is why they were way more fearful about the Jedi coming to take one of the girls, because of that,
Yeah.
because of how
And,
they were
and
made.
the whole
You know?
premise of them being created from the dark magic was cool
Yeah,
to me,
yeah. It's really
right?
interesting because it's gonna be very telling later. I feel like it's good. Like I don't know. I'm really hoping they foreshadowed this on purpose because it's gonna explain stuff later.
Uh-huh.
So I hope to see something like that. But yeah,
Definitely.
other than that though, yeah, it was very interesting. It didn't offend me at all. I didn't really care. I was just like, oh, okay, cool.
I
So
agree with you. Jumping right into the next part, they begin force training. We see how the power of two together is stronger than one.
hmm. Hmm.
I thought maybe foreshadowing, just because if they finally do connect May and Osha later on, or become on the same side, um, they will be stronger together versus them being separated.
Where did you? I'm trying to remember where they say that. Is that because when the mother like shows them about she's giving them that lecture and she's using the force against the other witches, and that's when she
Yeah.
says that, right? Yeah.
So she's
Okay.
dealing with these two um, almost disciples together, right?
Yeah.
She's saying, "Oh,
Hmm.
look, if there's only one of you, look how weak you are, and if there's two of
Hmm.
you, um, you guys are stronger together."
Yeah.
And she
Yeah.
proved that to her daughters as well. That's what it
Yeah.
was.
Yeah.
She was saying, "Look, if you guys want to be conflicted and against each other, look how weak you guys are." but together,
Mm-hmm.
look, you guys are able to hold me down,
That
right?
that's really what I didn't expect. I expected them to be more evil, like the Coven. I mean, who knows what they were doing behind the scenes? But like in
Uh,
reality, it just seemed like they were just trying to live. They were just like we're just vibing.
yeah, but that brings me to the next point of what we even discussed from the prior episode and podcast was you describing these Jedi as space cops, right? So
Mm-hmm.
it's
Yeah.
in a way it is right because they are enforcing their
Mm-hmm.
rule around the galaxy, but is it right to enforce yourself in parts that you don't even need to know, you know?
Yeah, you're right. I mean, it was important for us to see that from the other side, you know? Obviously, like the whole movies have always been on the Jedi side. So what they did was just kind of like, well, this is what you have to do. Like you're doing a great service to the galaxy, giving up your child to us to become a Jedi,
Mhm.
because your child is special. But seeing it from the other side, yeah, it is kind of sad because you're just like, oh man, like the Jedi are here, like, and like, pretty much what the mom was telling Osha too, like, well, if you want to be a Jedi, I just want you to, or when Osha asked her, am I ever going to see you again? And the mom was like, no, you won't. So that to me, you know, I don't know. It's just really weird. But at the same time, it's just something you expect from the Jedi, and that's
Yeah,
how when
but
Soul was like, well, we don't take children. And I'm just like, well, I was like, you
well,
do.
in that
You
sense,
just
was it,
ask.
yeah, is it
Yeah,
right for them to recruit children as they even do in the prequels, right?
yeah. I
So
mean,
that whole,
they they do it. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. It sucks. It sucks, but they even said it's like Republic law, or they're like Republic law has it that
that's
we
right.
have to train or we have to test these students and everything.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's is it bullcrap? Yeah, it's bullcrap. Is it scary? Yeah, because you just lost your kid. If
Yeah.
they have the Force, really. So,
Which is the ideology I really liked about Star Wars because Jedi aren't fully good, right?
yeah,
Even Sith, I mean, they are pretty bad, but
yeah,
they have the reasons of why they were provoked to do what they do, and
mm-hmm,
which is why I believe we all kind of like hearing the sides of the Sith stories just because we get to see what made them think like that and why they do the things they do, right?
mm-hmm, definitely, definitely, yeah. So
Which makes them more
it's
complex characters of which we like in
yeah,
favor.
yeah. No, it makes a lot of sense for sure. Definitely, definitely. Yeah, yeah.
And they begin doing the ceremony, the ascension
Mm-hmm.
ceremony, just them panning to the whole mountainside of where they are located at was so beautiful. I love the world building again.
Yeah.
Like I
Mm-hmm.
said, just Brendok, I was like, whoa, it was translated really well. And yeah, I thought it was the world building that they're doing in this show is just is well.
Did you notice that in that ascension scene that like eclipse moon is the same one in the title?
No, I didn't.
Yeah, it's the same one. So that's why that's why Osha, or excuse me, May has well, obviously she took the vow, so she has the little marking on her
Mhm.
forehead, but it's like the moon, looks like a galaxy kind of thing. I don't know
Okay, so
what it is,
that's maybe that is
but
their marking, right?
mm-hmm. But
In
it's
which they're able to do the ceremony.
yeah, yeah. Really interesting. Really interesting. And you know what? They did hint too that they went to that planet, right? That they're like, this is the new home for us, this
Yeah,
planet and everything. So I
yeah,
wonder where they're from originally. I wonder they're gonna be like, oh, we're from Dathomir or something. Because at the same time, did you see their mom that carried them? She's a mall, basically,
yeah. She
So
has the horns, right?
yeah. So I wonder because in Tales of the Jedi or Tales of the Sith, we got to see the other side of Dathomir where the other witches are from, the
Hmm.
mountain ones. So maybe there's multiple
That's right.
different covens, and this is one of them that left.
Yeah,
Who knows?
which I like because we kind of saw maybe again we're kind of just guessing right now, but Mother
Yeah,
Quarrel is from Dathomir. But it was
yeah,
nice to see them take on different iterations of the dark magic from Dathomir. Like you
yeah,
mentioned, from Tales of the Empire was the
yeah.
Mountainside coven, and
Mm-hmm.
now this coven almost right. So
Yeah.
it they don't have the traditional green magic that you'd see like from
Mm-hmm.
Elizabeth, right, from Tales of
Mm-hmm.
Empire. So it's neat to see the different teachings that they may have.
Definitely. Yeah. Yeah. No. The Like I said, the whole world building right now, it's getting very larger, and it makes me wonder, you know. if there were more Force users in the past that they couldn't track down in time
Mhm.
compared to like where we're at with the Skywalker era. Because who knows, maybe technology or their way of finding these Jedi were better than the way it was back then.
Yeah.
I mean, who's to say? But yeah.
Yeah. So the Jedi do approach them,
Mm,
and like you mentioned, dude, Master Soul. This episode really sold me on him. I was like, dude, he's my favorite. Like,
yeah.
again, he
Yeah.
has a lot of likeness to Qui-Gon, but he just
Hmm.
owns the role. I love it. I've been enjoying every time he's been on the screen.
Yeah. He's very attached to May, or excuse me, Osha. Very
Yeah.
attached to Osha, and that's why I'm just like, oh, okay, interesting. Like if he's very attached to her, you basically have attachment right there. You
Hmm.
know, I mean, right? I don't know, but I just thought it was really interesting to see that bond between them, like from day one, really,
Yeah.
and then how he knew that she was lying.
I did want to
Com-
mention a cool callback to Phantom Menace where Qui-Gon gets the sample from Anakin so that Obi-Wan can test
uh,
his midichlorian count, in which they
yeah,
did, and Torbid was testing it. Like, oh, she was like, Osha was like, what is that for? But it was cool. It was cool to see, especially in this time, right? It was a different era, so I thought it was
yeah.
cool to see. It's nice to point out. Um, and yeah, so that whole conflict between the Jedi and the Coven,
Hmm.
um,
Yeah, her magic was strong against Torgun.
yeah, that one, that for sure, yeah, that was. Um, and I did want to mention that um, later on, they do talk to Osha and try to convince her, right? Or in a sense, have her convince herself that she wants to be part of it. How'd
Hmm.
you feel about the contrast of Osha and May in dealing with possibly joining them versus staying and their different
Oh,
ideologies?
that's a great theory too, because it's kind of like, oh, they're already attached as it is. We can't, we can, to them, maybe they can only take one. I get what you're saying.
Oh, yeah,
Or if maybe I'm adding on to it, but like
you're
that's
adding on to it.
maybe,
I
yeah,
was just asking you. Yeah.
because if there's like two Force users that are twins, they're probably like, oh, we can only take one, because if we take both, that's attachment. But at the same time, I don't know. But um,
Which
I
is
did think it
kind
was
of the theme
interesting.
of
Oh,
Star Wars, right? Where
yeah,
there's two
uh,
almost dyads, right?
yeah,
Luke and Leia being separated, and
mm-hmm.
that sort, and together they were stronger. Just the balance of it, in a sense,
That's right. That's
right?
right. No, no, definitely, definitely. Yeah, that's probably gonna be a good callback later. We'll see. But
We will see.
as for that though, yeah, no, I mean maybe the Jedi's already knew that May was already giving off those signs that she didn't want to be a Jedi, because they caught
Mhm.
Osha in her bluff right away, or at least Soul did,
Yeah,
because I
yeah.
think Soul really liked Osha more than May. So
Mhm.
yeah.
Uh, and then it was cool to see an elder in the coven, the same species as Maz Kanata from Force Awakens, the one that no the specs. You know what I'm talking about? Maz Kanata,
Master Kana with the
that Rey
specs.
sees in the little
Oh,
temple where they go to, right?
she shields the bar, right?
Yeah.
Maz
Yeah.
Cantina. Yeah,
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 Maz
yeah, little
Cantina.
Maz. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
Little
that is one
Maz.
of those, huh? Damn,
Yeah, so
Maz is
it was
just really
cool to see
small.
like how there was like an elder in the coven the same way we could say Yoda is in the Jedi Council,
Hmm.
right?
I get what you're saying. They're really well
It was neat to
organized.
see. Yeah.
Yeah. No, definitely, definitely. Yeah, no,
Um,
that was really interesting.
okay, so heading
Um.
to the later part of the episode, the place starts burning up.
Hmm.
May tries to assassinate Osha before she's able to join the Jedi. Break it down to what you were thinking as this was happening, or what possibly happened in which the Coven was slaughtered.
I thought it was interesting because that notebook that Osha had was the fire, because she was drawing that, so she was probably having like visions, like Jedi visions or like Force visions, and she
Mhm.
was able to think about the fire, and she was like, oh, there's gonna be a fire or something, because May sees that, and then that's where she gets the idea to do a fire, and
Oh, okay.
or at least I
I
think.
didn't notice that, but yeah.
Yeah, in the beginning, because she's like, no, like she's like, let me see what you're drawing, and she closes her book, and she's like, no, like leave me
Ah,
alone, and then
that's
later
right. That's
on,
right.
yeah, But yeah, I just thought it was interesting that that went down the way it did because, like what you said, Siths kind of deal in absolutes, even though she's not a Sith. But it was pretty funny to see that contrast. And
Hmm.
yeah, I'm a big believer that that fire didn't cause that explosion.
It was odd. I was like, that
Yeah,
fire was only in the room. I was like, how did that explode?
there's more to it because in the trailer, there's Master Kinlaka fights Torben. So
Oh,
So there's more to it. I don't know
so
why people are
maybe.
trying to like, I'm getting initial like reactions and everything, and a lot of people are like,
Mhm.
"This is dumb." So a small fire caused all that. I don't think that
No, I don't think it was
that wasn't it
related.
at all. It's one
Yeah.
sided because we still need to see May's story because what happened with May after she did that, and then why did she tell Osha mom's gone, like mom's
Hmm.
died, you know? So there's definitely more to it, really.
So you
Um,
don't think there's gonna be another episode like this? They're just gonna keep having callbacks throughout the next 5 episodes.
You know what? I really don't know. I don't know if they're gonna do a callback next episode. It could be a regular episode next episode, and then they meet up with May, and then Osha talks with May, and then May tells her side with it. Because my thing is this: why would Master Torben feel so guilty and kill himself? If that's really the question here, like
Yeah.
everyone really needs to start thinking like, oh, so he killed himself because there was a fire. So why is he depressed from that, and that killed all the witches? There's more
Definitely.
to it. Something happened. Something very traumatic happened to all of them
Hmm.
and Osha's been lied to. May knows the truth. So in a way, you could say that they're both going their separate paths, but now it realigned, just like the thread that the mom said, the destiny and everything. Maybe their
And
destiny is to be together.
yeah, maybe. Um, One thing I did want to point out before we stop talking about the episode was I thought it seemed that maybe Master Soul was guided by the Force to find these two,
Mm.
and specifically Osha, right? Maybe.
Mm-hmm.
But again, our themes of talking about contrast, Mama does say, in a sense, forces don't push you to become things, you choose it.
Mm-hmm.
So I thought that was interesting that they did put that in the episode,
Yeah, well, it seemed like the mom was super
almost like
supportive with.
mocking what the Force is, right? Like, oh,
Yeah,
you know,
yeah, it's like she had a better understanding of what the Force is compared to the Jedi that have been
mhm,
studying it the thousands of years. You know what I mean?
yeah,
So so that's why I thought it was funny that I was like, oh, that's a great little callback or a little challenge that she did, because they
mhm,
obviously understand the Force itself too. They had their own understanding of it, which I thought was interesting. But yeah, yeah. Right now, I've really lost my train of thought right now. But
that's okay.
yeah,
Right, jumping into the things we liked about the episode, anything in particular that you really liked?
I like their concept of using the Force and everything. So they were witches. We didn't see them really use their magic besides like using the power of like that eclipse and putting the marking on their head.
Mhm,
We only really saw them use the Force. So I really like them using the Force because I thought that was really interesting that Coven, Witch Coven, can use the Force. So now I'm just really questioning what kind of magic do they have. So
yeah.
we'll see.
Um, I liked, again, like I mentioned to you, the world building um, of the episode. Again, the highlight for me was Master Soul. Just seeing his
Mm-hmm.
character being unwinded and fully developing as we go along. I think it's gonna be really great. I think it's gonna be a fan favorite by the end of the show.
Yeah, no, he's definitely gonna be that guy. Yeah, he's a really good character. Um, Yeah, I liked them a lot. It was cool to see all the Jedi's back, the ones that are dead. But
Yeah,
yeah, I mean,
to see them whole
it's
again. Yeah.
yeah, seeing the whole again. Yeah, I mean, I don't really have anything like that. I don't know. I don't have anything bad to say really
Yeah,
about the
dislikes.
episode.
So any
Like
dislikes you want to mention?
I don't,
As we
I
seem
don't.
to be on the opposite side
Yeah,
of this history of
I mean, maybe I would like more. Like I would like to know more about their background of like their clan and everything in the episode. But at the same
mhm.
time, was it necessary for the story for us to do that? Maybe it was just my own curiosity, really. Uh, I don't know. I don't know if I really unliked anything. I mean, I thought it was cool. Um, yeah, I think we're just gonna see the other side of it through May. So that's why I'm just not gonna even complain. If this was just one and done, then I'd probably be like, we need more. This is kind of unnecessary. Why didn't they show us
Yeah.
more? But
And
I
just
feel like they're gonna show us more.
definitely, and just building off of what you said, I only dislike that I didn't have more of my questions answered
Yeah,
I
you
don't know
left me
what
with
May
more.
is. Yeah, I don't know what May is fully thinking, and I want to figure out what else happened. Like, were they slaughtered by the Jedi, or what happened? Or
Yeah,
as you said, maybe Torbid was under a spell and was.
yeah.
I don't know.
So so
There's a
now
lot
that
of
makes me
questions
have
I
another
asked.
question because it's like for me the mother felt like she was obviously very supportive of it. So that was my question. I was like the mother's very supportive of the decision, but like why is she?
I thought she was
Is it
lying
because she
though.
knows? Part of me feels like that, but a part of me feels like her she knows destiny well though, because she's always like, oh,
Oh.
destiny. Like she seems very wise. So I'm just kind of like, well, what
Hmm.
is it that you know? You know, I
Hmm.
I don't know, but you're right though.
Well, I guess
Maybe she
we
did
we
do something on the side. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
we
We would
wouldn't
have to
find
see
out.
that
She's
flashback.
dead now.
Yeah, yeah. I don't know. I
Um.
think we're for sure gonna see what happens though, and that's gonna answer our questions. That's why I'm not too, but like I'm not gonna beat up this episode because I know there's more to the story, and I think that should be on
We're only
everyone's
three
mind,
episodes
really.
in. Yeah, we're only three
Yeah,
episodes
it's
in.
like you can trash it as much as you want, but in reality though, we don't have the full story yet. You know,
Mhm.
I need to see all of it before I make my decision. And so far, it's all right. I like, well, it's not all right. It's pretty good. I like it a lot because it's a new world, something we're not used to. It For some reason this show really gives me Phantom Menace vibes. I mean, we got a Qui-Gon, we got someone who's from Maul's planet. You know, we got a kid that is already older, like Anakin, gets taken to the
Yeah.
Jedi. Are the Jedi's gonna believe that she's the chosen one too, or something? You know, um, yeah. I mean, the other argument I saw people were having was just like, well, how is it that they took an adult child, not an adult child, but she's like probably like 8 or 9. So they're
Yeah.
like, well, that's the same age Anakin was, and they had so much hesitancy at the time to not take him as a Padawan. But at the same time, it's kind of like, well, did they not want to take him because of Osha? What's going to happen with this story? Kind of situation. I don't know.
Into that defense, Qui-Gon backed Anakin
That's why,
as Master Soul
yeah,
backed Osha.
that was
So
like, but that was Qui Gon's dying wish, though. You know, so Soul's still
right.
alive. So,
Yeah,
but at
yeah.
the same time, like, I'm not trashing the story or anything. But that's just my thing. It's just like I think it's different during the High Republic than it is in
Mhm.
the Skywalker saga, excuse me. Because I think
Um.
rules change over time. So that's
Mhm.
I don't know. That's just what I think.
And then heading into any predictions you have for the next episode.
Yeah, I don't know. I have another funny theory that like imagine a lot of the witches survived maybe and they're all gonna fight the Jedi in the end. I don't
That
know.
would be cool.
I That would be funny, but I doubt it. But at the same time, who's under the mask? And why is that person under the mask? Like why is it that he knew I don't know if he knew who May was
Mhm.
prior, besides her being a force user, you know?
Yeah, I hope in the next episode we do kind of go into May's storyline, especially
Yeah.
even her upbringing right now
Mm-hmm.
of how she found her way
Yeah.
and her
No, yep,
tasks that she
definitely.
needs to do, and the
Yeah.
masked Sith user.
Yeah, and then I wonder if this questions her task now because she has Osha back. So
Mhm.
you know, she was okay. Like I said, we don't know the full story yet. So like what you said too, maybe the Jedi killed all of the witches. So there's probably that. But at the same time, if it's not that, imagine
Mhm.
it's just because that like they were there on the planet just trying to take Osha. So then if that's the case, um, it's just kind of confusing now. But I don't know. I don't think it's that. I don't think it's going that way. I think it's gonna go because they blew up the mountain that they're at,
Mhm.
their little hideout. Um, but who knows? Who knows? I don't know. I'm excited. I just want to see more. I want to see it all. I'm not. I don't
Mhm.
really like this being weekly because, like what you said, I feel like it's the way it's directed. It's directed as a movie.
That's just like split
Yeah.
up.
Yeah, and then it was
Yeah.
interesting. This director is also a famous South Korean director too, as well.
Mhm.
The one that directed it. So I was like, oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
And
We
yeah.
are heading towards the end of the episode for us here.
Hmm.
Do you have anything you'd like to bring up before we wrap up?
I would just like to. I don't know. I would just like to see people's like real debates on it. Really, like
Mhm.
what is it that people don't like about the show? Because keep it in mind, I don't think people are really realizing that this show is 100 years prior. It's the high. It's like probably near. I don't know if it's like the dawn of the High Republic, like near the end of the High Republic, maybe. But you know, this is a totally different era. Rules are different, maybe. Who knows? Um, yeah, I just don't know. I feel like a lot of people aren't keeping that in mind. Like I feel like I have to really remind a lot of people about that. And it kind of just gives me Phantom Menace vibes because at the same time when that movie first came out, everybody was, you know, trying to crap on that movie. Nobody liked the prequels back then. I liked them. We liked them growing up, but everybody when we were kids didn't like them. Everyone used to trash them, you know. So it just makes me wonder if everyone's giving also that same vibe as well to this show, and not just that too, but obviously with the controversy that's going on with the writer and the person that created the show, basically, what's going on behind the scenes. I just feel like if people could really separate that, uh, it would make your experience a lot better when you would watch it. Not
Yeah.
that anything bothers me, but like if something bothers you because of that person, maybe you should just try to ignore that and just watch the show and just be like, all right, you know what? Honestly, I will give her a benefit of the doubt. It was actually a really well written story, which I hope we all feel that way in the end. But we'll
Yeah, and
see.
like I mentioned, we're only 3 episodes in. Once we
Yeah.
do get to the eighth and final episode, I will have more critiques, if
Yep.
there's any. But I'm not gonna defend the show. If there's debate of why it's not good, I just want to know
Mhm.
what reasons there, what valid reasons, that it's not
Definitely.
good, just so that we
Yeah.
could talk about it, because I just don't feel like they've been uh discuss like there's no discussion for it. It just feels like
Yeah.
it's just been
I think it's okay
hate
to question the
almost.
lore. Yeah, definitely. Like I think it's perfect to question the lore because I think it's important. Because if you question the lore,
Definitely.
it's okay because we don't even know what the hell, what the rules are or anything. During this era,
Yeah.
because it's only one show, and we're not even focused on that. We're focused
And
on these pair of sisters with the Sith.
yeah.
So,
I mean, live action wise, right? So there hasn't been
mm,
anything confirmed canonly about it, besides us having background on the comics, books, and the
yeah,
video games. So no, I get you.
definitely. Yeah, that's why I'm just like nothing really bothers me with the show. Like, I don't feel like
Yet.
nothing's bothering me
I'll say
right now.
yet. I'll say yet.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
I think
Like, who
yeah.
knows? Maybe there could be something where I'm like, oh, that doesn't make sense. Because there have
Hmm.
been other movies or shows where I'm like, that doesn't make sense at all. And Jordan and I have talked about that. We'll get into
Hmm.
that one day. But at the
Yeah.
same time, we're not just trying to like ride the high horse and just hype up a show that's bad. No, I honestly think the show is good. I think this is good for the universe in general because this is the past.
Yeah.
This is the intro to the past because all the movies we're going to get from now on are going to be from the past besides the Rey movie and the Mandalorian movie. Well, the
From
Mandalorian
what's
movie's kind of
been
in the past.
discussed,
What's
definitely.
been discussed. Yeah, yeah. So,
But again, like I mentioned, I think I speak on behalf of both of us, where we haven't just got the full picture of the show, of what it is. So once there is
yeah.
that, then we could definitely talk bad about it, or have our critiques if there's any. But that's just our 2 cents.
Yeah,
Um,
definitely. Definitely.
but with that, I think we're gonna wrap it up. We'll be back again next week, but that has been episode 2 of the Project Stardust podcast. It's been a pleasure,
Yeah, yeah.
Terry. Did I get it right? Yeah?
Yeah, episode 2. No, no, no. Episode 2 for our podcast, but episode
Yeah,
3
episode
for the
2.
Acolyte. Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's it from us.
I
Thank
can't
you.
wait.
We'll see you again next week.
Yeah, bye. Make sure you comment.